Okay, Rachel, I want to talk about the world of GTA 6 and the NPCs and how realistic it feels, because the extended look I saw a kind of it there was a lot of traffic, the world was bustling, there are people, the NPCs I imagine are going to act more realistic in this game. Can you tell us about what you kind of saw when they were kind of playing in that open world?
It was one of the first things when we dropped into the open world that I was like, oh, this is different. This is GTA. It's recognizably GTA, but the the way the world was just kind of running around the character, doing its own thing felt amazing. As an example, Rockstar has a team that is purely dedicated to writing NPC dialogue, and it shows because you're just walking past, and it doesn't have that kind of weird rote open world thing where you're walking past and you're hearing like the same bits of conversation. Again, I only saw 30 minutes, but we saw a lot of NPCs and all of them were having kind of sensible, different, exciting conversations. They all reacted to the characters differently. It just felt like a kind of a living world that we could either interact with or not as we kind of walked around there. So yeah, I think it's going to be almost a bit of a culture shock at the beginning to be in a kind of open world game where it does just have its own thing going on, and the NPCs do all react to you differently. And there's going to be people that, even if you're just kind of walking by and start eavesdropping on them, are going to have something to say about it. So yeah, I can't wait for you to see it. I was so excited.
I love I mean, there are a lot of games where you can kind of like walk up to NPCs and then maybe they'll stop talking and they'll sort of turn to you. Like I'm thinking like, Spider-Man, you can like high five people. Like was there anything that you saw that you like maybe heard or kind of like saw off in the distance, or kind of like wild lines that you heard that kind of feel bizarre?
I mean, classic Rockstar. I heard a few lines that I loved. One was a cat call inviting Lucia to use his balls as a punching bag that I enjoyed. There was someone else who told us to control our mommy issues, and also someone that offered to pee on us for money. So that was very, very Rockstar.
You said pee on you for money, is that what you said?
Yes, yes.
Just to be clear. Okay, I love that. Now I'm wondering if GTA 6 will then sort of let you act on that and having a little kind of UI pop up. And I wouldn't put it past them. I feel like that is something that can happen. And I actually am curious about that sort of corner of UI where, obviously there's still a lot of mystery left to uncover, but I kind of liked the idea that it was like the same button to, hold hands, and there was the same button to kind of, you see the dog and you can kind of interact with it. Was there anything that you kind of noticed when they were playing the game in front of you where the kind of, even just pressing like the shoulder buttons had sort of like a contextual feel and vibe to it?
Yeah, to me, I'm a huge Red Dead Redemption 2 fan, and to me, it was clearly a kind of evolution of the contextual system there, which gives you a lot more freedom about how you interact with the world. So, as an example, when we were walking past NPCs, there would be an option to diffuse or provoke if one sort of turned around and started saying something to you. Um, it also means that because how you interact with the world has many different effects. So it also means that, like Red Dead Redemption 2, hitting that kind of left trigger, it doesn't automatically mean you pull out a gun and shoot someone, or you pull out a gun and aim. It means that there is kind of a bigger range of options. So yeah, obviously I wasn't playing, so I couldn't sort of get a feel of it. But I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be kind of the place to look if you're desperate to kind of think more about how it feels.
Okay. I mean, I don't need an excuse to revisit Red Dead Redemption 2. I very excited about the wanted system because I feel like I have a feeling that crime is going to be harder to do, which, I guess in general is fine, but for Grand Theft Auto, I mean, that's kind of the whole point. And I noticed that we you have 6 stars again in the wanted system. GTA 5 had 5, uh, and it just looks very detailed. And I'm curious if you kind of notice anything about how the wanted system has changed, or like how they've interacted with that in the gameplay you saw.
Yeah, the biggest change that I saw when we were running around, because we did get into a little bit of trouble, was there's a real nuance now to kind of the police descriptions of you. So, and there's little icons in the top right that will kind of let you know what the police know. So it's, are you on your own, or are you running around as part of a couple? What car are you driving if you're in a car? Do they have a physical description of you? Do they know what you're wearing? So there are ways to kind of deal with those step by step. And also, the other thing that was interesting, as well as that, the description to me was that Rob Nelson was explaining that the world is so dense now that often, in previous GTAs, the answer was almost always like steal a fast car and drive away, or grab a motorbike and drive away. Whereas now there's going to be times where the traffic is so bad that that's not going to be the way to do it. So, maybe it's getting away on one of those little kind of lime style scooters that you see all over cities, or maybe it's running down a back alley and kind of weaving around on foot to lose people, the cops and stuff. So I think it's going to be a different experience than we're used to in GTA, but I think it's going to be richer for it.
Oh, that is very exciting. I love the idea of just like Lucia jumping onto a Lime scooter or whatever scooter, because those are all over Los Angeles here, and I love the idea that it's actually going to be helpful that they've kind of been littered around. You mentioned traffic. I did notice a lot of traffic in the extended look, and it kind of makes me feel like GTA 6 is going to be a horror game to me now, because traffic is truly the worst thing ever. We all agree on that. I'm very, very curious how driving kind of looked, if you saw anything different from the extended look, because seeing that footage of the police chase and kind of doing this whole thing backwards and shooting the cop cars and having it explode, it looks very crazy. And I'm wondering, like, when you're switching between those characters, how that's going to play out, because like I think for me, I will probably want to switch to Lucia on with a gun while Jason drives, because that seems very scary to drive in Leonida.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I hope it doesn't feel like I'm telling on him, but, I imagine there's not many people that have played the game as much as co-studio head Rob Nelson, but even he sort of, at one point we were driving around and got sideswiped. So, you know, practice does not save you from the chaos of the streets. And he did tell me that there's going to be probably a slight period of adaptation when you're driving around, because they've made the streets narrower than they have in previous GTA games. So there's not kind of that wide open expanse to be just like weaving in and out of things, and traffic is denser as well. So I think that's going to be a complete change to the way you have to think about getaways and, chasing after people and things like that.